This is Grand Thai Boxing. It's in Hua Hin, and it's a stadium that I've fought at several times before, but never for this promoter. So this is fight 258, and a German photographer came down. You'll see him taking pictures of me right there. He had contacted me online, I think the day of the fight, and was like, I'm going to come down from Bangkok and shoot you. And I was like, okay. This guy who's cornered for me at my last fight in Hua Hin, which is actually where I met the promoter who I'm fighting for this night. I've never fought for this promoter before. I don't know him, but he caught me after my last fight in Hua Hin for someone else, and asked me if I could fight, and I actually had the date wrong. I thought he meant December 15th, and he meant November 15th, so it was like 3 days before the fight, and he's like, no, I meant in 3 days, so it was a bit of a rush down. And then where I was on the card and where I actually was on the card were different, so there was a little bit of a like waiting for a really long time and then rushing to get into the ring. This kid who's standing behind me has cornered for me at my Karchuk fights before. It's just coincidence that we were both at this fight card. He wasn't fighting, he was cornering for the kid in the yellow. But I really like that I know people all over Thailand and will run into the same people who will help me. I think that's very cool. It's part of the like gunslinger life that I live, fighting all over Thailand. So he's helping me put my gloves on with my corner from Hua Hin, and then the guy that he actually came down with is helping their fighter get ready. And I think at this point, we're not entirely sure how many fights there are before me. I think that Kevin and I are talking about how many fights there are before I actually go in to the ring. I like this guy as a cornerman, though. He's very relaxed. He's very like nonchalant about everything. Hua Hin is kind of a cool place for me to fight because it's completely outside of where I regularly fight, which is most of my fights I go up to Chiang Mai twice a month if I can. So I kind of have like a pool of opponents who I'm fighting with. It's a large pool, but it's a group of women up north because that's like the mecca of female Muay Thai is in Chiang Mai. So when I come to Hua Hin, my opponents are very different from who I fight up in Chiang Mai. So for me, that's very cool to like dip into a different pool. So we had to run over to the ring because we realized that I was next. And this is me sitting there while the main event is going on. I think I was actually supposed to be before the main event, but me and my opponent weren't ready yet because nobody had told us. So we ended up going on after. But a woman who was in the corner of the red guy in this main event recognized me and came over and was showing me photos on her phone of a man who I know. He used to promote Muay Thai Angels. He has passed. He died maybe last year or the year before, but she was showing me pictures with him. I know him. I've never fought on Muay Thai Angels, but it was interesting that she made that connection with me and him. Again, meeting people who I know all over Thailand. So this was like a kind of in Hua Hin. There's this huge stadium. This is the Grand Thai Boxing, and on that far side there used to be a bunch of gamblers. There weren't many this night. Instead, all these guys who are sitting along the edge of the wall on the left there, those are the gamblers. That's my corner man, just like scrolling through his phone. It's like, I love how regular and day-to-day fighting is in Thailand. Like, people are not all anxious about it at all. And there's the photographer getting his camera ready. This was an interesting main event. It was very, very close. So everyone was really exciting and like cheering and hollering. And the promoter of this event was in the corner of the guy who ended up losing. It was incredibly close. The people in the red corner, even though they won, one of them turned around and said to me after the fight, he was like, that could have gone either way, which I thought was kind of cool that he recognized that out of his own fighter getting the win. When I sit and watch the fights before mine, I'm always like tracking the referees. Like, I want to pay attention to how refs are in the ring so that I know what each one is like. So when I go in, I know what my ref is going to be like. So Do they break the clinch fast? Do they let it go? This guy used to be up in Chiang Mai. He came to say hi to me. I met him also at my last fight down in Hua Hin. But it's one of these things where, like, not all refs are the same. Like, refs have styles. And so familiarizing yourself with that is always a good idea before going into the ring, if it's possible to do so. This guy wanted a photo with me. This is the woman who was showing me pictures of that promoter on her phone. And she was in the corner of the red guy, so they were coming over and taking some photos for their phones, which was really nice. I feel like I recognize this guy in the glasses, but like not entirely. So these are like kind of head honcho VIP people going into the ring with the garlands. It's part of the main event show, is to like have important people put the garlands on or take the mongkon off or things like this. So you'll see honorifics in Muay Thai everywhere you go. That's the promoter clapping there. There's a lot of, in Muay Thai, like, when you're first starting in Thailand, you're super anxious in these, like, waiting around parts going into the ring. But they're actually a huge part of the process of fighting in Thailand. So getting used to them and getting comfortable with them and just having this, like, the fight starts now in how you prepare yourself to go into the ring is something that has taken me years to be comfortable with. It's me giving Kevin a look. But it totally, like, what my energy is like here is going to indicate what my energy in the ring is going to be like. If I'm too low here, I tend to start too slow in the ring. If I'm too amped up here, I tend to be like not thinking properly when I get into the ring. So you can kind of take little tests of your mental state at various points before even getting into the ring and kind of know where you're at. But that also gives you the opportunity to change where you're at before getting in the ring, which is really good as long as you're like aware of it. So I had the big dude who cornered for me last time was going to be in my corner here, and then this guy who recognized me from Chiang Mai, I think he used to live up there, just jumped into my corner as well. So I got like a bonus 2 cornermen out of nowhere, which was really cool. I fought in Hua Hin a couple years ago at this stadium, and the gloves were really wonky. Like, they were really old, and you know how like the padding starts to come out. I broke my hand. I broke my right hand in that fight at this stadium. So I'm kind of like paying attention to what the gloves are like, and always like feeling if they're missing any padding or if they're too big or anything like that. Usually the gloves are too big for me, and I can just slide them right off, even though they've been tied and taped on and things like that. At this event, before everything started, all the fighters were brought into the ring all at once in order to like present ourselves and talk about the promoter and talk about the VIP who were there. Me and my opponent are the only women on the card, and she was a tom, which in Thai is like tomboy, so she like fashions herself kind of in a short haircut, masculine way. I'm not a tom, but I guess I kind of have like a masculine look. When we were getting out of the ring, a dude who was holding the rope up for my opponent put the rope down and then pushed the top rope down for me to get out. So he actually changed from a woman to a man for me to get out between me and my opponent, and I had to be like, I had to like self-enforce, no, I go under, and he's like, oh, sorry. It was a interesting moment there, because there's only 2 of us, there's only 2 women, so you can calculate that 2 women are going to fight each other. I don't know if he thought one of the shirtless men in there was her opponent or something. This guy's lifting pretty high. That's very polite to like super lift up the bottom rope so I don't have to struggle under it. That's kind of nice. So a bunch of people coming over to take photos in the corner. I think I was the only Westerner on this card as well. I can't quite remember, but you stand out when you're the only woman pair or the only farang or something like that, people will come and take pictures of you as the like oddity of the show. People probably also recognize me. This guy who just came over to take a picture took photos with me afterwards. He said that they had come to see me, which is exciting. Like, there was this whole like, you're not on until this fight, and then, oh my god, you're supposed to get in the ring, and then waiting for the main event so that we can get in, and then once you get in, my opponent still wasn't ready. She was like, probably, I think, still getting her gloves on, like she hadn't even been massaged yet or something. It's like, not super organized in terms of when we were going to be in the ring. That happens. I was cornering for Caro, a French woman who's at my gym, a friend of mine. I was cornering for her, and her opponent got in the ring, and the referee pointed to his mouth, like, do you have your mouthpiece? And she didn't have it, and she had to like get out of the ring and run backstage to like find her mouthpiece with her gloves on. So Caro was waiting there for like, I don't know, 5 minutes or something. It's totally like these bizarre things happen, and you just have to stand in the ring and like be okay with standing there, kind of thing. I think here she comes. I didn't know my opponent at all. This promoter sent me a photo of her, gave me her name, gave me her weight, that kind of thing, but I didn't know her at all, which is fun for me to like fight people who I don't know anything about, because I really don't know what to expect. I think she was coming down from Khon Kaen, which is actually quite far, Khon Kaen to Hua Hin. Probably she had a teammate who was also on the card, and they kind of like bundled it as they do. But when I got into the ring and she got into the ring, the promoter was in her corner. So that's not super unusual. Like, usually the promoter has a fighter on the card that they're kind of in support of or gambling on or whatever the thing is. So it's not crazy to have the promoter be in someone's corner in a fight, but it's something that you definitely clock and mark when you're like, the promoter's in my opponent's corner. It can lead to imbalances in how things are refereed or broken or things like that. It can also just not be anything. Hurry up and wait, Thailand style. Waving at Kevin. Waiting in the ring. I like these boards that they have in like established permanent stadia. They don't tend to have them in temporary stadia. They'll be like on the corner of the ring, but they tell you what fight it is and what round it is. I don't know why I find that cool, but it's, I don't know, like you have an association with a scoreboard in a basketball game or something. I like these things. I like stadia that have them. Sometimes they'll have like the minute countdown as well. Like they'll have a light that says there's like 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, that kind of thing. Here she comes. All right. Again, this dude pushing the ropes down for her. Maybe it's the same guy. Maybe he's like not with it in terms of how women are enforced getting into the ring in Thailand. It was at this stadium, the first time I ever fought in Hua Hin. Gansak Sorplunjit was in my corner. That's the promoter doing the Mongkon for my opponent. And Gansak was trying to put my Mongkon on, and I was like, you have to wait until I get into the ring because I have to go under. And he looked at me and he goes, who told you that? It's like, living in Thailand for 3 years has told me that. It was very funny that he didn't know. Like, it's one of these things that's like, oh, everyone is so big on the like under the ropes thing, but they're very established, very in Muay Thai people who have no idea that women have to enter the ring that way, including that guy who's pushing the rope down for me and my opponent. So I'd actually just fought maybe, I don't know, 5 days before this fight or something, because I had the date wrong, because I thought that I was fighting December 15th, which would have given me a lot of time, but actually it was just a few days away when the promoter corrected me on what the date was. So we had to like rent the car really quick and like hurry down to Hua Hin. I think that I had gotten like really badly leg kicked in the fight right before this. I kind of remember being like unable to train full leading to this fight, and then it was like, whatever, like you've done the training that you can do, and then it's time to go down and fight. So it's another thing that I really enjoy about fighting in Thailand, is that the opportunities just kind of come out of nowhere. Like they just fall into your lap, or you have the date wrong but you don't want to give up a fight, so you're like, yes, anyway. I'm not really the kind of person that's like, oh, I had the date wrong, I can't go. Like, as long as I'm free and able to go, I'll go down. It's not a like, oh, my leg hurts, I can't fight kind of situation. Even 258 fights in, I'm still saying yes to pretty much any opportunity I have to fight. I didn't get to see my opponent's Ram Muay while she was doing it because I was doing mine. She has a nice cadence. She's quite tall. You can't really tell how tall someone is in a photograph, and I just had a photo that was just her, like she wasn't standing next to anything, so I wasn't aware that she was that tall before I actually saw her in person. There was another young woman at the stadium who I thought actually I was going to be fighting. She was not this shape at all. She was like shorter and kind of stocky, which is a kind of fighter that I actually enjoy fighting. But she wasn't my opponent. She actually took a picture with me and said that she had seen my last fight in Hua Hin and was a fan, but she was kind of like a beginner. I think the woman with her told me that she had like 3 fights or something. So I was like, that's not her. And I started like scanning around the stadium to see who I was fighting, and I saw her and I was like, oh, that's definitely her. She came over, her Ram Muay is longer than mine, and she'll do the like shooting of the arrows thing, which you get to like play with your opponent a little bit when they have like performative elements of their Ram Muay. The audience usually gets way into it. So this part I saw. Dodge that one. That guy's laughing. People like when you perform along with your opponent. I'm showing her she can shoot me right in the chest. Misses. Try again. She could have really thrown me off if she had done more than 3. Traditionally, you do 3. Dodge. Nope. None. She does this part really nice, the looking back part. Sometimes people kind of like gesture it, but it's not really strong. She did really nice. She had quite a few people with her that had come down from Concane. Look how tall. The promoter didn't tell me much about my opponent. He just told me her weight, that we were going to be fighting, all this stuff. I don't think he was accurate in the weight, which I don't mind fighting bigger. I fight bigger all the time, but I need to trust promoters. So if you tell me someone's weight and you tell me accurately, that's fine. I know what I'm up against. I'm not opposed to fighting people bigger than myself. Is when promoters lie about the size of someone or the experience of someone, or that he's in her corner or something like that. It's kind of a like, you just need to like decide whether or not that person is trustworthy. Everyone lies in promoting, everyone, but there are degrees of information that's important or not. So I had a problem. I had fought just before this and had a problem overturning on my left side. And so it was kind of a like game of, am I going to be upset about still overturning, or am I going to correct it? You don't know which one it's going to be. It depends on what headspace you're in. I'm staying closer though. She had a nice getting her stance pretty wide in the clinch when we first locked up. And it's a little bit unusual for me now to be clinching in the first round. So I was definitely going in and like trying to engage in the distance that's good for me, especially with her height. So I'm using like the bouncing front leg for timing a little bit. I should be teeping more than I am. I'm happy that I'm teeping a little bit. It's kind of a good timing mechanism for me. Here I've got her arm pinned, which is really good. I should be like spinning. I'm a little bit stagnant. And so the ref comes and breaks it. Again, it's round 1, so like the scoring is not super important in this round, but like the things that you're establishing and whether I can figure my opponent out or kind of tire her out early happens in round 1. That was a really good right cross from her and a right kick. Those are pretty big scores, even though the points don't matter so much in round 1. But you can see how size plays a role in how she engages with me, whether she's afraid of me being close or not. This is what the problem in my last fight was, this overturn, and then she's kind of like pushing my face. She actually tried to throw an elbow right there, but it was a little bit short distance. I've been working on my long guard a little bit. Kru yells at me when you like catch someone and try to throw them if they don't go. It doesn't look great for you. So if you're going to throw someone, make sure they go down or punish them if they don't go down. When you try to throw someone like that and they don't go, it ends up working against you. But my corner is pretty relaxed. I think they maybe were gambling on this fight. I don't remember, but they were pretty excited about like telling me to stay close and how to solve this. They were into me winning rather than being totally like detached from it. I can kind of go either way at this point in my career. Kevin's giving me advice there. You'll see his hand appear in front of the camera because he's giving me corner advice from far away. I think they're telling me to strike on my way in. If there was a piece of advice that I've gotten a lot of, it's to strike on my way in. I have a hard time covering that distance from my opponent's striking range to my striking range. So it is something that I'm continuously working on. It's not easy, but it is something that you need to practice a lot in order to be able to do under the pressure of a fight. Taking her time coming out of the corner. There are lots of fighters who do this. Oh, Sylvie started right away. Leg kick. I think I'm using that leg kick to try to stay a little bit closer, but she's actually kicking quite a lot now, which is putting me on the porch. See how I'm following her? I'm trying to step in, but my front foot is actually going between her legs instead of tracking her foot. That makes it harder for me to cut off the ring. These are good turns, though, from both of us in the clinch. You time your opponent when their leg comes up. I'm scoring here, and because she's bigger than me, this actually looks really good for me because I'm kind of controlling her. There's no reason for the ref to be breaking it right there, but he did let it go for a little bit before that. So now she's trying to kick me on my way in, so I should be marching a little faster, but I am striking on the way in, so trying to drag her off the ropes. You'll hear Kevin say a lot. See how my left elbow is behind her neck? Oh, that was a really good timed turn on her. She waited for my knee and then like kicked under. When my elbow is past her neck like that, that's the overturn. So when you hear me say I'm overturning, my elbow is like going past her shoulder and it really should be on the front. It's because I'm locking, but if I yank my arm back a little bit, I have way more control. I'm able to land. See how I'm landing knees here, but they could have more impact. See how my elbow just came in front of her shoulder? Oh, good elbow from her. Tall fighters and elbows, difficult. So I'm just trying to like close in and grab her. Here I'm overturning again, so I'm like coming in and grabbing, and I'm actually able to turn her and land some really good knees. It's round 2, so this is shaping the fight, but this is not necessarily like building the score of the fight yet. It's building the narrative of the fight at this point. Nice block. Block. I'm kind of putting myself into the ropes here, which is a little bit of a problem. I'm happy that I'm landing my knees like on grabbing. Something that Diesel Noi has been working with me on in the gym is kneeing from a distance on the way in. So striking on the way in can be a knee. It doesn't have to be things other than a knee from a knee fighter. She's acting like she won that round. That's also something that you should practice and something that you can totally do. Even if you didn't win that round, acting like you did, you're shaping the narrative of the fight. and she's doing it and I'm not. So it's a difference in how you're performing. There's so many things that go on during a fight. It's not just like I hit you this many times and you didn't hit me that many times. Like, so many things go into it. How you sit in the corner, how you listen to your corner, how you get off the bench. Like, all of these things go into how a fight is witnessed by all the people watching. It actually doesn't look like they have many judges. There's one over there. I think maybe they only had two. I think they're still just telling me to strike on my way in. They see me getting my face smushed a little bit when I lock because of that overturn, but I solved it a little bit from round 1. So now that it's round 3 and it's going to be a scoring round, it has to start building off of the change that I made in round 2. Oh, you can see our size difference there. She throws pretty hard. Those were not like crazy powerful punches, but because she's throwing hard, it off balances me, which is what like a teep and a jab are really good at in terms of like timing. Oh, she's so long though. Very wide right hand. If I had like stayed closer, I could have hit her while she was trying to do that. I'm trying to knock her over, and I can't really get outside of her because of my overturn. So I have the arm hook here, which is something I've been working on. That arm hook for me, because I'm shorter, is really good, especially against someone who's long like that. It's a nice axe elbow from her. I'm going into max guard now. When girls throw elbows at me, it like forces me into a much tighter position. That was a good long knee from me. Because I'm in that guarded position, I can't actually strike out of it because I strike from here, I guard from here, and I need to work on making them one thing. See how I'm max guarding here? So my weapons don't really come out from there. Something I'm working on now after this fight. Oh, that was nice. The ref popped us off the ropes there. She's looking a little bit tired. Those knees from me are really good, but I need to create a little bit of space. That was a big dominant moment for me, and round 3, so that's good. Not a lot of cheering from my corner on that. Putting her in another corner. This is good. If I can like pop her from corner to corner and capitalize on it, that looks really good for me. But she's stagnating me in the corner there, so that looks like she kind of like snuffed me. Now she's throwing elbows from that distance, and because I'm max guarded, they're actually coming through. I need a longer guard when opponents are throwing elbows at me. That woman in red is going nuts for her elbows. Ref breaking us there. I should have been yanking her off the ropes. Oh, I'm cut already, I think. Yeah, she's like jumping on the ropes and slamming her elbow. I didn't clock any of her performance between rounds like that during the fight. I was totally in my head going to my corner. I had no idea she was doing any of those things. I'm actually seeing it for the first time, watching for the voiceover. Yeah, so she cut me right between the eyebrows here. I thought it was a reopening of a cut that I got maybe a month and a half ago or something. I thought it reopened. It's not. It was actually lower. It was on the bridge of my nose. So I kind of had this like, it's just going to reopen. It's not a big deal kind of thing, but it was like lower than the other one. Fortunately, because it was so low, it was on the bridge of the nose instead of like on the eyebrow or something. It was just going completely between my eyes, like not interfering with my eyesight or anything like that, which is why they would call a fight. I think I also have a cut in my hair. I think I pointed it out to my corner man. That was from me ducking when she was doing some kind of like axe elbow and it hit me in the hair, which is a much better place to be cut than on the face because there's no way that they'll stop a fight from cuts like in your hair. It's always fun though when you're in the corner like this and they're like pouring the water on you when you're bleeding. It just creates this like red pool underneath you in that tray. Fixing the shorts, hiking them up. I'm always paranoid when the referee is like wiping my face between rounds because I actually need Vaseline on my face and I feel like they're like wiping it off. So I've got a little bit of a bounce. I'm trying to close in a little bit more, but I'm closing in with that max guard, which significantly reduces what I'm able to do on my way in. And the advice being strike on your way in, it takes out that possibility. I'm trying to create space here for my knees, and she's holding pretty strong. We're in the middle of the ring. I'm not sure why the ref is breaking that clinch there. But I'm doing all right with my like grab and knee right away. Oh, that was a nice turn on her part. I stayed stuck though. So I'm throwing my right at least. I'm a little bit too far away. That was a nice block. I need to like close the distance with the strikes instead of like kind of creeping in and throwing it from too far away and then leaping the rest of the distance. It's something that I need to work on in sparring, like under actual pressure situations. Because I'm bleeding already, she's basically just like backing up and tagging me on my way in. And even though her elbows are not all landing, because I'm already cut, they're telling a story of like me not being able to get to her. She's doing a really good job of like playing up that part of the story in this fight. Ref is breaking the clinch like crazy. The promoter is very excited. That's his girl. So I'm just kind of like pushing her into the corner, and once I have her in here, I really need to be like actively making up for all of the work I'm doing to get her there, but I'm kind of like slowing down when I get in there, which again, in terms of telling a story, I'm not maximizing on what I'm trying to do. Ref is breaking the clinch like crazy at this point. It's like the only way I can win this fight is in the clinch, and he's breaking it every second. I think at this point, because we're going into the last round, I remember my corner telling me that they wanted me to body shot and hook. Good advice. You'll see when people are losing fights in the last round, they'll throw a lot of punches because you're kind of in a state where you're not going to win on points. So it's really this like drive forward and like put your opponent in a situation where they're constantly trying to stay away from you, where you might knock them out, this kind of thing. I'm not comfortable throwing body punches yet because my guard isn't there. So the way I was talking about how you have to have, how I have like a max guard and then I have a punching position and they're not the same, because I'm guarding myself all the time, I don't want to take my guard down in order to throw a body punch. And so I have a really, really hard time throwing them. What I need to do, and what I've been doing in training, is bring everything out of that guard so that I don't feel like I'm in like two different positions all the time. Well, I got off the bench really fast right there. I think that was quick. It's difficult going into a round 5 when you know that you're losing a fight, because you basically have to decide how you're going to perform a loss if you're going to lose. I felt like I could knock this girl out if I got her, but the ref was breaking the clinch pretty fast, and she was getting harder and harder to catch because now all she has to do is go backwards. It's a nice teep. She's showing a little bit of vitality with like her jumping teep, which is good for someone who just has to go backwards in a fight. She's trying to throw that axe elbow. Teep from me, that's good. Here we go. I need to be kneeing already, a little bit slow there. Need to bring my hips back so I can have more impact on those knees. She's trying to elbow from way too close, but it's because she's thrown the elbows before, it's actually a good move. When Red is going crazy. Something I'm working on is how to close that distance. I kind of like leap across the space too much still. It's very hard against opponents who are bigger, longer, that kind of thing. Like there's a kind of fear zone of closing in. Once I'm in this position though, I'm like looping her arm. I've got my head in. I'm actually landing quite a few knees. I just have to get enough pace to land something really visibly decisive. Now I'm basically just tracking her down, like not letting the fight be a like dance-off situation. She's still throwing those elbows. A little bit sloppy. She's out of steam, but I gotta be like wrenching on her. Landing tons of knees in the middle of the ring though. Those are good. Nice. Need a longer guard. I'm happy with these knees like on the way in. That's definitely something that's come very recently from my work with Dieselnoy. It's gone kind of quiet now, like she's basically offering the like, tap my hand, we're not gonna fight anymore because she's exhausted. Like, I'm gonna lose on a like thrill. Go hard. There we go. I don't like losing, but sometimes there are circumstances that you're just fighting against many different obstacles all at once, and it's just how it is. I think they actually only have one referee. This guy on the left is the judge. So it's a small crowd, but I don't know, the circumstances and situations in which you fight in Thailand can be all kinds of different things. They can be festival fights where people are packed all the way up to the stage. They can be stadia like this where it's pretty spread out. There I'm seeing the doctor. I had to show him the one in my hair. He actually didn't know that one was there. I think that guy was coming to take a picture with me and saw me with the doctor and like abandoned ship. I went back. I had to go get stitches, and people came over and watched and talked to me a little bit over there. But when you're getting stitches after a fight, if you get them right away, it's okay because your adrenaline is going from the fight, so it's actually not very painful. When they take forever, and this doctor took forever to do my stitches, he had an assistant who was helping him keep track of the thread because the thread is the same color as my hair. And so he was really struggling to keep track of the needle and the thread when he was stitching up my hair. People were very enthusiastic. They were like, you fought hard, you fought all the way through. They were happy with the fight. I was frustrated, but what can you do? It's one of these fights that you just like go for. Came out of nowhere. Low Blows, my newest sponsor. It's my fight top. So I still at this point thought that it was like a reopen between the eyebrows. I didn't realize that it was on the bridge of my nose. Until the doctor actually started stitching it, and then I was like, that is not where it was before. The adrenaline after a fight pumping so that you can deal with your stitches is a very nice thing, but you also get to sit there in mostly silence, like thinking about your fight as this is happening, and it's not the most fun. It's not my favorite time to be reflective, especially after losing a fight. I was, oh, there I'm seeing where it was. I was frustrated by the promoter not being straightforward with me. Again, what I said before, I totally take size disadvantages. I totally take fights where I do not know my opponent or know anything about them, or where there are tons of little elements of it that are not necessarily in my favor. I'm okay with taking those fights, but I want them to be on the table so that I know what I'm walking into. And I was frustrated that this promoter had not been straightforward with me, so I was kind of like irritated by those elements of this fight. Not amazingly so, but Kevin is doing the live stream. I think he's telling me about where the cut is or how big it is or something. This woman in yellow, big thanks to her for keeping track of the needle and the thread for the doctor. It's got to be hard for doctors to be kind of like stitching in the bush in these stadium fights. Like if you go to Rajadamnern or Lumpini, like they have a medical room in the back with like really nice lighting and things like that. The lighting here is not great. I think he had like a lamp on his head or something. It's like not ideal circumstances. I've been stitched up sitting on a chair with mosquitoes just like eating me alive while being stitched. I've been stitched by a doctor who didn't have all of the equipment that he needed, so he actually cut my hair with like a box cutter. This is the promoter coming over saying sorry, no problem. There's my opponent coming to say sorry. Little grommet that I didn't even see is too small. Yeah, so I'm already starting to like come down a little bit from the fight as he's getting his threads ready. That actually over there on the right in the red and black shorts and the black shirt, that's the young woman who I thought maybe was my opponent earlier. I think the promoter knew he was a little bit uncool in the way that he put this fight together, so he's coming over and talking to me more than what is normal. I was letting him know that he was not straightforward with me about her weight. Again, not a problem. I fight that size all the time. The problem is that he was not straightforward about the weight. If he had told me what she actually was, it wouldn't have been a problem. I don't like being deceived, even if it's something I would accept. They often do this. Doctors will say, don't film the stitches being done. I'm not entirely sure if they don't know that Kevin's my husband and they're doing that for me, or whether they're like, get out of the way. I don't know. I don't have a problem with being filmed having my stitches done, for sure. Oh, it wasn't a headlamp. It was her holding a flashlight. I had my eyes closed, so I wasn't entirely sure of the setup there. This took a while, though. Like, I think they stitched me for, I don't know, like 10 or 15 minutes. It wasn't a lot of stitches. I think altogether it was like 7, something like that. It's like not a whole lot. It was like 3 or 4 on my nose and then 3 or 4 in my hair. Brings my stitch count to 218, I think. Promoter coming over and like wiping the blood off of my legs. It's all right, dude. I'll shower later. I do get irrationally upset about not being able to wash my hair when I get stitches. Like, after a fight, I have so much Vaseline and blood and just nastiness in my hair. And when you get stitches in your hair or on your face, you can't get them wet. Like, you can't shower right away because the water's not clean. So you have to like just deal with the fact that you have Vaseline and blood like caked in your hair for like 2 days. It's so nasty. And we're staying at a hotel, so when I go home, I like can't even lay on the pillow. I have to like build up like towels and shirts and like whatever we've brought with us in order to protect the pillowcase of this place where we're staying, so that I can actually lay down. I didn't sleep well after this fight at all. I think I was awake almost the entire night, but I got to watch the sunrise in the morning, which was really pretty. Hua Hin is on the water. It's like the opposite side of the Gulf of Thailand. So Pattaya is on one side and Hua Hin is on the other. So I got to watch the sunrise with the like ocean lapping and stuff. It was really, really pretty. Got some guys waiting to take a photo with me. They were very nice and very patient, waiting for all of that. People like to come over and kind of like watch the process and ask how many stitches and things like that. I remember when I first came to Thailand, the first time I went to Wai Kru Stadium, and a guy got cut and they stitched him up on the pool table because that's where the light was good. It's like, I remember going and watching stitches being done, being like super intrigued by it, so I totally understand people coming over and being curious about it. Maybe especially because I'm a woman, they find it fascinating or interesting or exciting to watch me get stitched. The doctor was very nice. I took a photo with him afterwards, and he was like very surprised that I wanted that. He's a little bit shy. He thought that I was asking just for a photo of having been stitched, and I'm like, no, I want a photo with you. This is a gym during the day, so you'll see like there are weights and stuff. There are some exercise machines, and I think the ring is used for training during the day. I like stadia that are like that, where you have training during the day and then fights at night. You can kind of like feel that they have a energy to them that places that are only a stadium don't have. It's a little bit of a pan around from Kevin. This lady coming over to see what's up. I think Kevin was talking to me. I'm like waving to the live stream because he's getting ready to cut it off. Thank you everyone who watches the live stream, for sure. fight 258. Howdy. We are in Hua Hin. We are leaving the Grand Muay Thai Boxing Stadium. This was fight 258, which was a surprise. At fight 256, this guy grabbed me as I was coming out of the ring, and he was like, hey, can you fight on the 15th? I totally thought he said December, and I was like, yeah, no problem. And then I contacted him like 2 days ago to ask him a question about this fight in December, and he goes, no, November. So I'm like, fuck. So we jetted down to Hua Hin. This is my third fight this month, and in about 6 days?
Maybe,
7 days, something like that. So from 9 to 15. 6 days. Said the opponent was 50, fucking no way. So I lost on points. I got 7 stitches, 3 on my nose, and then 4 in the back. Because of this new haircut, he still had to cut my hair, but I don't really fucking care. I used to get really upset about doctors cutting my hair. I don't really care with this haircut so much.
This looks more badass.
And this, I think, actually was just the balmy cut reopening more than anything. It's only 3 stitches.
Oh yeah?
So when you have a lot of scars on your face, sometimes they reopen. I'm now at 218. So this is fight 258. Loss on
218 is a stitch count.
218 is my stitch count. 258 is my fight count.
A lot of big numbers there. I'm at 743.
I definitely lost this fight, but in terms of like points, she didn't really score very much. The ref was breaking like crazy the clinch, but once I was cut, it was just fucking like uphill battle. And I think I was cut in like the third round for my first one. I don't like losing, but I don't really care so much about this loss. The thing that I'm upset about is I basically made all the same mistakes that I made like 4 fights ago against what's her name? Nong Fa. But you know what? That was 4 fights ago, and when you're me, that means that was last month. So making the same mistakes you made not that long ago is something that's going to happen. I just have to be more aggressive with these things in my training. I'm pretty proud of myself taking this fight because it was a total surprise, and my legs are kind of fucked. But I worked on them really hard in the time that I had to do active recovery, and they felt pretty good. So that's my update. Thank you guys who watched the live stream. Thank you to my patrons who allow me to be here, and thank you to my sponsors, Onyx MMA in Singapore and Low Blow. Oh, I'm not wearing it, so I can't knock on it. I would be knocking on my Low Blow right now.
Next time.
I can't see because of the flash. I'll talk to you guys later.
Thai female fighters, that means they favor like knees in space. She's tall, very tall. Sylvie thinks she's about 52 kilos, which means she'd be giving up about 6 kilos to her, if that's the case. So we're anticipating like high, long knees and kicks. Muay Thai fighters, female Muay Thai fighters that are Muay Thai fighters often are not super skilled in the clinch, like having a large vocabulary in the actual clinch, although they certainly can be. So that'll be one of the major tests of this fight. If she's a Muay Thai fighter, she's willing to come forward. She's not going to do a femur fade on Sylvie. And so the question is, when Sylvie locks up, what's going to be the skill difference? And then she's also very tall, so she might not be have a high vocabulary in clinch, but she might have some nice clinch counters, which if you have like 4 or 5 inches on your opponent, can be really effective. We're waiting for the opponent. There was like I don't know if it was a mix-up, but the order of the card got switched up. Sylvie got bumped up 1 slot. So she's might be getting her gloves on. Sylvie's looking pretty chill in the corner. Grand Boxing Stadium. It's actually, we have a really cool history here. We used to be good friends with the owner of the stadium, but I think he's sold it now, and he has another gym in Hua Hin. But this is where we met Karahat. Gonsak, was Sylvie's trainer, famous legend. He was her trainer in America when she was in America. We drive down about an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, for Sylvie to take privates with Gonsak. So we got to know Gonsak really well. And then when Sylvie was fighting here, Gonsak happened to be visiting Thailand. He comes to Thailand like once a year. And he wanted to corner for Sylvie. And we're like, oh, of course, please. And he hadn't seen Sylvie in a long time. And he brought this quiet, mildly demeanored man with him who like wore his reading glasses. You wouldn't think anything of him, and he was sitting right over here where these bleachers were. There were tables, and Gonsak was like, this man is a legend that you don't even know. We had never heard of Karahat, and he's like, he beat me. He's as good as me. He might have even said he's better than me. Here comes Sylvie's opponent. Yeah, she looks about 52. Sylvie ended up knocking a girl out very fast in that fight, I think first round. And the rest is history. We contacted Gonsak and we were like, we wanted to film a Muay Thai Library with you, and Gonsak ended up becoming like Sylvie's hero. She's trained with him 50 hours. Okay, we're rolling now. Thank you, Greg, on the audio. We're trying out new technical things every time so we can get it just right. This girl looks really big and long. You can see the size difference. It's going to be a very interesting fight because all the geometry goes to blue. It's really going to come down to technical knowledge. I mean, Sylvie's got good cardio and is very physically strong. But when you don't have the geometry in your favor, very hard to win with cardio and strength. So this is really a great opponent for Sylvie to have. A big challenge out of nowhere. If she's from Khon that means she fights in a circuit that we don't really have to come in contact with, which is really a Thai versus Thai circuit. Sylvie's trying to reach deeper and deeper into that circuit. So if she performs well here, maybe she can get a fight up in Khon. But there's some serious geometry on the other side of the ledger. So what I'm looking for is, can she stay close to negate any kind of length on kicks, where the advantage would be like you don't want to be in her kicking range, and then when they lock up, does Sylvie have a technical advantage where she can frame up inside and start to wear her opponent down early? Also, elbows can be a factor when you're fighting somebody really tall and long.
ไฟล่าสุดก็พาทางด้านของออกมาเรียกว่าเหนียวดึกเลยนะครับ
A beautiful, ornate Ramoy from blue. Sylvie doesn't really, she has a pretty long Ramoy, so she doesn't really face the end of another person's Ramoy. She's hamming it up. She drew a target on her chest. I've never seen that before from Sylvie. She's drawing a target on her chest. Oh, and parries it. It's nice to see Sylvie enjoying herself. Some nice theater beforehand. We just grabbed a corner. The promoter provided the corner. We don't know the corner, I don't believe. There's also a professional photographer here who asked Sylvie if he could photograph the fight. You can see him there in the corner. I've forgotten his name. Maybe I never got it. He just asked, I think today. So he took a van down from Bangkok to photograph the fight. It's going to be a very interesting fight.
Red corner from USA, blue corner from China. Enjoy.
Big, long knee fighter, maybe, if we hear right. Sylvie going left, which we like. Sylvie locking up right away to test, to do a little heat check. The ref is breaking the clinch, which isn't awesome. Sylvie going left again. We like her going into her opponent's power, snuffing the power. She's using the teep, which is usually something we like. Blue is just waiting out. Oh, a little elbow from Blue. Waiting out the round. Sylvie's got her arm in. That's the first technical advantage. She got a long clinch on her. She tried to sneak a knee in. Sylvie parries the teep. She's crowding Blue. Yeah, she moved left there to correct. Blue is just wasting the round. She's probably not going to do much until Sylvie's got her arm trapped and is scoring minor points. Blue is just feeling Sylvie's strength. Blue is doing the very traditional take the gas out of the first round, maybe the second round. Measuring Sylvie. A little hook from Blue, big kick on the close side by Blue. The teep. Sylvie a little bit frustrated by Blue. Here she is crowding her. Drag her off the ropes if she can. Big knee from Sylvie. Blue is throwing elbows. Second big elbow of the fight. It didn't land, but she definitely has that in her plan. Sylvie catches Blue's kick. Sylvie starting to fade right. That was a good round for both fighters. So from the way that Blue is fighting, she's probably going to waste the second round too. Try to score in the third round and then skate free on the fourth. She's fighting a very strategic fight. Sylvie teep, telling Sylvie to teep some more and go left. With Blue's size, she can kind of play this point fighting game. Her performance is essentially nothing you're doing is affecting me. When you have size, she's 2 weight classes up, maybe more. Your visual performance, like your face, your body language, is aided by your just your physical dimensions. It's very hard for a small fighter to look like they're affecting a big fighter. You have to break posture, get extended clinch breaks. Sylvie also has a pretty bashed in lead leg. She's starting to fade right. Blue's taking the fight to her a little bit. A big tomahawk elbow that does not land. If Sylvie can get her arm in, there's something serious here. Boom. She's got to get off the ropes. Got to get off the ropes. Here she has double inside. Big knee by Sylvie. She's got double inside and a good head drag. So Sylvie's pressing. The ref is blocking, stopping the clinch pretty early, which doesn't bode well for Sylvie. Sylvie dragging her off the rope. Dragging her, got the arm in. Big jumping knee. Oh, she timed that knee. Blue timed that knee and threw her down gently. Sylvie Durning. Sylvie Durning again. Sylvie dragging her off the ropes, which is what we want. She got her arm in. Big knee. Blue starting to wait for that knee. Big knee. Blue's trying to get to the ropes. Sylvie got a big knee in. Big knee. Blue throws a big elbow. That misses. Sylvie Durning to the left. That's nice. Blue starting to fade with energy. Sylvie got her arm in. Nice. Turn. Big knee. Big knee. Big knee. Big knee. And the ref breaking the clinch. Sylvie Durning. Blue starting to fade. She's performing really nicely. Sylvie's checking all her kicks. Sylvie's chasing a little bit. Sylvie got mid-clinch on her. Big knee. Ref breaking the clinch again. Sylvie fading right. Left. That was a good round for Sylvie, especially as the second round. Sylvie's breathing hard, which is actually a great sign. We want her tired. Sylvie, go left, go left. Telling Sylvie to go left. You can see that Blue is fading even though she's very practiced in not showing it. You can see because the height of her kicks are dropping. They're down below waist level, and Sylvie's checking those kicks. Beginning of the fight, they were shoulder level, they were head level. This is one of the secrets of Muay Thai fighting, is you get the kicker's kick to start dropping elevation. And by the scoring rounds, you're nullifying what was scoring earlier. Sylvie going left a little bit. You can see Blue's kicks are very low. Sylvie's starting to fade to the right. Big upward elbow it looked like by Blue. Sylvie's arm is trapped. Did she get it in? Oh, the ref is definitely protecting Blue. There might be money on this fight. Body shot by Sylvie, followed by a kick. Wild hook by Blue. Sylvie trying to get her arm. She tried a little trip. Sylvie's got to get her arm in. She got arm loop. The arm loop is good. Big inside knee by Sylvie. Ref breaking the clinch again. Oh, big axe elbow from Blue. Sylvie busting in. She's got the inside position. She tried to elbow her. Boom. Knee lands. This is pretty good. Pretty good match. Sylvie dragging her. Sylvie dragging her. Ref breaking it for no reason. Sylvie turning, body shot, bounces out. Another elbow by Blue. Yes, she drags her off, so the ref can't break it. Big knee, big knee, big knee, big knee. That was a nice trip on the arm loop by Sylvie. She's turning some more. Sylvie's breathing hard, which is really good. Sylvie didn't chase her to the corner. She's starting to go right. Another elbow by Blue. Sylvie got her arm in. Sylvie Durning. Sylvie Durning. Blue is just loading up elbows. Blue's loading up elbows right down the middle. Right down the middle. Sylvie cut on her ear. Sylvie's cut on her ear. Big knees by Sylvie. Big knees by Sylvie. Sylvie cut on her nose. Sylvie cut on her nose. Blue's making a big deal out of it. Sylvie could lose this fight because the ref is not letting the clinch go. Looks like Sylvie got a cut on the bridge of the nose, so she might have a broken nose. Cuts count pretty good. Although Sylvie's totally winning this fight, the judges can give the score to a cut. As the ref is breaking the clinch, there's a very good, I would say, a 50-50 chance that Blue could take the fourth round if the ref does not let her clinch. Sylvie, got to drag off the ropes. It's a beautiful fight, actually. This will be, the story of this fight will be how the ref scores the clinch. Blue is going to go after her nose big time. She's trying to jab the nose. She's trying to jab the nose. Sylvie's a little hesitant because probably she broke her nose. Got her arm outside in the clinch. Drags her off the ropes. Locks her arms. The ref breaks the clinch immediately. Blue is just loading up an elbow. Sylvie dragging her off the ropes. Blue tries to trip. Ref is breaking the clinch immediately. Sylvie with a hook. Sylvie with a hook. Blue's kick is checked. Sylvie dragging her off the ropes. We're going to see if she wins this on cardio. The ref is breaking the clinch immediately. There must be money on this fight a little bit. Sylvie tries a body shot. More elbows from Blue. Sylvie's a little frustrated. More elbows from Blue. More elbows from Blue. Boom. The ref will not let Sylvie clinch in this fight. So just elbows versus Sylvie's clinch. And that length. Sylvie's got to get that arm in. The ref is breaking the clinch immediately. Yeah, the ref will not let Sylvie clinch. Sylvie, your right arm is stuck. Your right arm is stuck. Use your other arm. Yeah, it looks like Sylvie's lost this fight. If she can't clinch, she can't win this fight. You have to clinch with the other arm. Technically, what's happening is Sylvie is grabbing with the left arm, but her right arm is getting trapped. And the ref is not letting her have any time to swim her arm in. So the ref is taking that as a neutral position. Pretty sure it's against Sylvie. She can't win this fight. I'm telling her to grab with the right arm instead of her left arm. Sylvie teep.
เหมือนน้ำที่จะเทราดลงมาเฉยๆอาจารย์แหมจิตใจทำด้วยอะไรครับฟิลวี่นี่โอ้โหแข็งแกร่งเหลือเกินครับแหมอย่างนี้จะเข้าโรงเรียนอะไรได้ยังโอ้โหยกสุดท้ายครับแหมเรื่องไปง่ายเล่นผลกระทบ
Sylvie teeping, which is what we want. Teep. The ref breaking the clinch right away. Come on, let him clinch. Sylvie Clint tried to pull her off the ropes. Maybe the ref will let her go. Maybe the ref will let her go. Maybe the ref will let her go. Sylvie diving in. Bouncing out. Sylvie got her inside arm in. Boom. Off the rope. Boy. Boy. Sylvie diving in. Sylvie diving in. She turning. Turning. Boom. 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 Sylvie needs to show more urgency. Elbow from blue. Sylvie darning. Another elbow from blue. Sylvie laughing. Can she get her arm in? Boy. Yeah. Nice fight from Sylvie with clinch not being allowed. That definitely goes to blue though. Yeah. That was I don't know what to say. A great fight, but marred by the reffing, which makes me suspect that there was some long money on the other side. Sylvie gets a broken nose out of it. One, two, three, go. This is what fights are all about. I love her facing opponents she doesn't know. Giving up huge size, probably 30, 40 elbows thrown at her. And ref against you, as sometimes happens. Not often, but as sometimes happens. Baby, nicely done. Well, the ref wouldn't let you clinch. There's nothing you can do. Although, arm trap.